dry versus fresh. Let's see how they compare. Hey Busy Bees, it's Dzung, and I love the convenience of dried pasta, but I've had this machine that makes fresh pasta for almost a year, and I've probably used it about a dozen times. And while it's also pretty easy to use, I wanted to see the difference between the two, the convenience factor, the cleanup factor, but also the taste and texture factor. Obviously, if you guys are really into fresh pasta, then that's a no-brainer, but there's a lot of great qualities about dry pasta too. And we're gonna test both in a scratch-made vodka sauce. It's a creamy tomato sauce that's to die for. So first, let's get into making our fresh pasta dough. As you guys have noticed, I have a lot of gadgets and I keep acquiring them to test things out. By the way, this video is not sponsored. We're using the Philips pasta machine. Everything, the hard work happens inside where it kneads the dough, and it really only takes about, I don't know, 8 minutes from start to finish. And the pasta texture that comes out is quite unbelievable. It's really good. So what I'm gonna do is take off this lid. So it comes with this cup. All I need to do is fill the flour to the top, and it's 250 grams. I'm gonna pour it into the chamber right here, along with a pinch of salt, put the lid back on, and then for the wet ingredients, it also comes with this cup where I just have to fill it up to this 95 milliliters line. And so I'm just gonna add my egg, beat it real quick, and then fill it with water up to the line. Now I just turn on the machine, let it knead, and then I'm gonna start slowly pouring in the liquid. It's not super loud, and it takes about 3 minutes for it to knead the dough, so I'm gonna pour this in. Okay, so it's still kneading, but I have this plate with some flour to catch the spaghetti once it starts to extrude out, and it's really cool. I can't wait to show you guys. All right, here we go. They look like alien worm hands coming out. Okay, now with this, I'm gonna cut it. And that is pretty much all the dough it has, and I actually like these little pieces that come out towards the end because they're the perfect CC size. I don't have to cut them myself because I can just boil this as is. And now I'm just gonna lightly flour each bundle so they don't stick, and we're gonna let it rest for about 10 minutes while we work on our spicy vodka sauce. All right, so we are done using the machine, and this might look like a pain to clean, and I will agree with you, it was, if you don't know what to do. But my little cleaning hack is I could just dishwash this piece, and if you're lazy to clean up like me, this is a dream because I just let the dough dry out overnight, and then it just flakes right off, and then I just kind of rinse it under soapy water and it's done. Technically, it's not super hard to clean if you let everything just dry out, because the dough will dry and get hard, and it's really easy to flake off. Okay, it's time for the vodka sauce. So I'm gonna start by adding a drizzle of olive oil, let it get hot, and then I'm gonna add 1 finely minced shallot. A shallot is basically if an onion and a garlic had a baby, this is it. It's very mild. And then I have 2 cloves of finely minced garlic. Add them in. I'll saute everything until they're nice and fragrant. Okay, so for the shallots and the garlic, you want to finely mince everything because this is supposed to be a very smooth sauce. You don't want any big chunks in there. This smells good. And then I'm gonna add 2 cups of crushed tomatoes along with a 1/4 cup of tomato paste. Mix them together, and then we have 1 cup of heavy cream. Add that in, and then to make it nice and spicy, my little hack here as well is to use sambal oelek or a chili garlic sauce that you typically use for pho. Mix them up, and then I have a 1/4 cup of vodka that I'm gonna add in. And don't worry guys, we're gonna simmer this sauce, and so the alcohol is gonna burn off. This pregnant lady is not getting drunk today. I'm gonna make sure to cook off the alcohol. I'm gonna let everything simmer for about 20 minutes, and then once it's done, I'm gonna add a tablespoon of butter to make it nice and glossy and a pinch of salt. Oh, it smells so good. It's very garlicky, and you can kind of smell a hint of the vodka in here, but you won't really taste it because the alcohol has burned off, and the vodka really just gives it a lot of depth. I cannot wait to make this with the pasta. We're gonna be cooking our dried pasta first. There's a lot of great things about dried pasta. It has a longer shelf life and it's always there for you. I'm just gonna cook it according to the package's direction, which says it's gonna take 11 minutes. To give our spaghetti some flavor, I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of salt into the boiling water. Drop it in and then we'll cook it for 11 minutes. Needs like another minute. So now we'll cook our fresh pasta in a pot of fresh boiling water. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and then we're gonna drop our fresh pasta in. This will only take about 3 to 4 minutes. Once it rises to the top, it's done. So here, just cutting down the boiling time already makes a difference, but it did take a little while to make the pasta, so kind of balances. So I brought the sauce back to a simmer and now I'm gonna dunk our fresh pasta right in. And I've saved about 2 cups of pasta water to help the noodles stick to the sauce. I'm just gonna add maybe about a 1/4 cup to each pasta serving. Give it a good mix. And I'm just gonna let the pasta cook for another minute to really absorb the sauce. Oh, this smells delicious and savory. Oh. Now let's plate it. So there's our fresh pasta, and now I'm gonna quickly do the same thing with the dried noodle pasta. The dry noodle can really benefit from the pasta water. This looks good. Now we're gonna plate it. Our pastas are done, so now I'm gonna garnish both with some freshly grated parmesan and a sprinkle of parsley. So just looking at the presentation, the fresh noodles actually look like restaurant quality pasta, whereas this looks more like your everyday dinner. Let's give the fresh pasta a try first. While I was cooking this with the sauce, I noticed that it clung to the pasta so much better. The texture is bouncy, and that sauce has so much flavor. It's cheesy from the parmesan, but it's nice and spicy from the sambal oelek. It's a different flavor profile if you're not familiar with it, but it gives it a really nice kick. And now the dry noodle pasta. So you can really taste the difference between the texture of this one versus this one. The dry noodle pasta tends to be a little bit more slippery, and it didn't really cling to the sauce as much, even though we added the pasta water to it to kind of help. It still has a lot of sauce to it though. I would say the structure is also a lot more flat. This one was a lot more bouncy and chewy. Honestly, you can't go wrong with pasta, especially this spicy vodka sauce, which you guys have to try. Tell me, which one would you spend the time making, the dry pasta or the fresh pasta? To me, the fresh pasta is like a treat, maybe on the weekend when I have a little bit more time, but this one is an easy, satisfying, everyday meal. I hope you guys like this video. Comment below or just drop me a spaghetti emoji, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! This one's not bad. It's just different. Carbs, 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 carbs.